Good morning. This is Jeff.
This is Jenna, and welcome to Transform Your Talk. Who do we have on today, Jeff?
We are lucky to have Michigan Senator Mallory McMorrow with us today. She's running for Democratic Senate from the U.S. Senate from Michigan. Dynamic, powerful voice for the Democratic Party. We're so lucky and blessed to have you today. Thank you.
Thank you both for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah. So we're interested in your vision as a strong Democratic voice for Michigan. What you have, we've listened to your live stream, which is very educational, by the way, and
Fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
all your speeches, they're very powerful. So, what do you need to tell us about what your plans for Senate should you
So,
get elected?
yeah, so this feels like a really existential moment for our country where we have seen um, politics be taken over by people who are willing to tear others down in order to give some power. I think that Donald Trump has been very successful in tapping into people's, I think, rightful anger with the status quo. But instead of actually fixing the underlying issues, what he's done is convince you that your lack of success is somebody else's fault. And that can take many forms, whether it's immigrants, the LGBTQ community, women, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. I mean, all of these things are under attack. But we have to acknowledge that for way too many people, the system wasn't working. So my campaign for US Senate is really centered on writing a vision for a new American dream that acknowledges we can't go backwards, we can't make America great again, but that it will be centered on three things: success, safety, and sanity. I am a millennial. I am part of the first generation that by and large will do worse than our parents. And as I travel the state, I talk to people of all generations who share the same feeling that I have felt from folks in my generation. And the sense is I've done everything right and I still can't get ahead. I can't afford to buy a house. I would love to start a family, but I can't afford it. The idea of childcare is far too expensive. So the success pillar is simple, that if you work hard enough, you should be able to afford the house that you want in the neighborhood you want to live in. You should have access to great schools. You should have the support to start a family or a small business or a career that is something that you've always wanted. I lead on that work as the current chair of the State Senate Economic and Community Development on supporting more small businesses and entrepreneurs and innovators and shifting away from large tax incentives for large corporations, investing more in people. Under the safety pillar, we're talking about safety in our communities, certainly safety from crime, but also that your fundamental civil rights should be protected. We see those under attack. Your right to vote should be protected, and that you should be free from the epidemic of gun violence. This is something deeply personal to me. I lost the older brother of one of my best friends growing up in the Virginia Tech shooting. So having now,
Sorry.
thank you. But what is has been devastating throughout my life is it felt like such a uniquely awful thing to have gone through. And what is worse is the number of people I meet who say, I've lost somebody too, or I've been through it too. I have led on legislation to address that here in Michigan. I am the primary bill sponsor of Michigan's now law to create red flag laws here in Michigan that have
Thank
been
you for
used
that.
successfully. Yeah, it is, I can't express to you how meaningful it is to know that this law is saving lives. There was a man here in Royal Oak who it was in the throes of a mental health crisis, who had stockpiled firearms, tactical gear, had barricaded himself into his home with his wife and two small kids. And Royal Oak police were able to use this law, remove firearms from his home, de-escalate the situation, and he is now receiving the mental health care that he needs. So we know that it's working. And then finally, and then we can get into the conversation under our final pillar of sanity.
That's
It
important.
feels it is important in this moment, and I'm sure the two of you have lots of thoughts on this, given your work, but it's so chaotic now. I mean, the number of people I talk to at every event that I do, I always ask by a show of hands how many people in the room are exhausted. And without fail, every single hand goes up. It is not okay that we constantly feel like we have to watch the news and be plugged into social media for fear. I mean, it is fear of what Donald Trump is going to say or do, or what is going to come down on us from the federal level that we have to respond to. So this can't be about chaos. I have one of my constituents who was a lifelong Republican who voted for me in my first election, who said, I just want this to be boring again. I don't want to have to worry about what you guys are doing or saying. I just want to trust that even if I don't agree with you all the time, you have our best interests at heart. It also means that government should deliver on what we say we're going to do. So reforming programs that don't work. I'm an industrial designer. That is from my background, reverse engineering ourselves into solutions. And if the solution doesn't work, you try something new. So, when you see things like on the federal level, billions of dollars going into a network of EV chargers nationwide, you better see those EV chargers in the ground within a few years. It has to work so that we can restore people's faith and trust in institutions and in government's ability to do big things for them.
Absolutely. I love that you are focusing also on the aspects of sanity where we can count on what people say.
Yeah.
I know from a personal standpoint, even the stuff with school loans, when we're
Yeah.
supposed to pay back, I'm a millennial too. It's like I went to law school, these things are expensive. I was in one of those loan forgiveness programs.
Mhm.
And then I got this message that's like, no, just kidding.
Just kidding. It's gone now.
Yeah, it's gone. You have to pay
Right.
everything back in 4 years. And I go, I'm sorry, what? I've put 10
Right.
years into this. Huh? So I know if I'm feeling like that, there are so many other Americans feeling that way. And
Mhm.
it is the insanity of it. I'm
Yeah.
going, okay, so this is more than a mortgage payment. How do I
Mhm.
feed my family? What do I do? So having the trust, the regularity, the boringness, please
Yes.
bring it back. We need it.
Yes.
So
We
we
need
can
it.
sleep at night, so we're not worried.
Yeah, we need stability. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
If we put a program out, the program should exist. It should do what it says it's going to do. Again, I go back to I've done everything right and I'm still getting screwed
Yeah.
is a refrain that I hear way too often from people. And that is what worries me more than anything else, keeps me up at night, is that if people lose faith in institutions and in democracy, they're just going to check out. And then who does that leave to kind of take power? It's people who have less noble motivations,
Absolutely.
and we can't afford that.
Well, you've written this book, Senator, about hate. And it occurs to me that we got here because people don't trust and they hate. And it's so easy to load up with vitriol on social media and attack from afar. We're not face to face anymore for the most part. So it's easy to do. And everybody hates. And so, what is your, 10-second recipe or 30-second recipe for changing the paradigm about hate and distrust in government?
Yeah, thank you. So
Everyone.
my book is called Hate Won't Win. Find your power and leave this place better than we found it.
Yeah.
And it is really a call to action. And I'll just put one example out there. I have a workbook section in the book. I'm sorry to give people homework, but I think it's really important.
I love
Um,
it. Yes.
I there's an exercise in the book, and I think in the era of social media, and I grew up with social media. Um, Social media was intended to bring us closer together. I tell a story in the book about how Facebook used to have a feature called Nearby Friends, and you could turn it on, and it would send you a notification when somebody who was your friend on Facebook was nearby. And I remember watching a video that was a beautiful kind of utopian idea of this feature where you would get a notification and then you would go out to coffee with this friend. And now it feels like social media is designed to keep us away from each other. Mark Zuckerberg just gave an interview where he said Facebook is going to have AI friends to replace your real friends,
Wow.
which is terrifying. So one of the exercises in the book is I challenge people. It's really easy to find groups of people who already agree with you. Social media makes that really easy. You can sign up for events, you can go out to political groups that agree with you. But do you know every single person who lives within 3 blocks of your house? And if not, why not? So you might want to organize a potluck or a barbecue, and I encourage people to do so with no ulterior motive in mind. You're not asking anything of anybody. If you sell insurance, don't think of these people as potential clients. If you're a realtor, don't think of these people as potential clients. Just get to know people. And when you build up that trust in your local community, that is where you start to really understand you have power and you have influence. My fundamental belief is that people bought into the idea of make America great again, not because of a specific time in the past, but because we did used to know all of our neighbors and we felt like we belonged. And, that is a neighborhood that I grew up in, a very small rural town where if somebody was sick, we knew about it and they stopped by with soup, and we didn't really talk about politics. But we would encourage each other. And if there were issues, we talked about it. And I think that is what's missing, and where people feel isolated and alone and lonely. And it's a lot harder to hate somebody that you actually know. And if we can just push ourselves out of our bubbles a little bit and get to know people who are very different from us, that is an experience that I had campaigning for the first time. I Googled how to run for office in 2018 when I first ran for state senate. I'd never done it before, but I love knocking on doors, meeting strangers, people I never would have met in my normal routine. And it's been really wonderful to me to really expand the people that I meet, the cultures, the number of people who have invited me into their house for dinner, of all, especially in Michigan, all different types of flavors and backgrounds. And it's wonderful. And I think more of us should push ourselves to say hello at the grocery store. I mean, it sounds so simple, but people feel alone. And that's where it's really easy to push people from fear into hate. And we have to get out of it.
Oh, yeah. That's
I agree with
good
you.
homework.
And it's interesting. I'm a mother also. I know you are. I moved into a newer neighborhood here in East Lansing, not very far from here. And my daughter, I just felt like she was such a trailblazer. She went to every house to see if there were any other little girls in the neighborhood. And
That's
when I mean
awesome.
every house, she went like within 4 blocks.
Oh my gosh.
I thought, this is how you get to know your community. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like, this is what we did when we were kids.
Right.
Jeff and I joke that while we are a few generations apart, when our parents wanted to know where we were, they looked at whose house your bike was laying on the lawn of.
Totally. Yes.
And it's like, oh my God, my baby, it's like, child after my own heart. She lives in the wrong era, but maybe she doesn't. I thought we should be learning from these kids and teaching them, this is how you make friends.
Yeah.
This is how you get to know those people. And now when I'm out walking my doodle, people are like, oh, you're Lily's mom. Hi. Oh my gosh, she came over. And I'm going, oh my God, she just came over and asked if you had a daughter. Okay, well, but I think we can learn from our youth, and we can teach them not to hate and to get out there and talk to people, like you said, because they are our future.
Yeah.
So I commend that. And I think it's fantastic. I know my neighborhood does a picnic every year. And come bring your kids, bring your family.
Yeah.
We have like the local VFW band comes and plays, the police, firefighters come, and it is a community. And I believe that those are the neighborhoods we still need, because that's what we grew up with.
Yeah, I love that so much. My daughter is 4. It sounds like your daughter might be a little bit older than mine, but we took her to the nearby park, and she announced, even as we were walking up to the park, she's like, I hope there are other kids here. If there aren't, can we go to another park? Like, she's on a mission to meet other kids and figure out a game to play together. And I think adults could learn, to your point, a lot more from kids.
I think we can, and not having those screens in our faces all the time, but
all the time.
My son builds forts in the woods and he's 15.
Yeah.
And he takes his 15-year-old buddies out there and they're building forts in the woods. And everyone in my neighborhood's like, oh my God, it's so cute. And I'm like, this is what kids should be doing.
Right.
Off those screens, having those interactions, actually speaking to one another.
Yeah. I count myself very lucky that I am probably the last generation to have known a time before the internet. I remember when we got our first computer, and it was massive, and it had its own corner of the house, and we had to buy dedicated furniture for it. So, when you were on the internet, it was still a physical place you had to go to. And because it was dial up, if somebody picked up the phone, you got kicked out. But you were very intentional about it. And now that it's attached to us at all times, it's really hard to break away from that. And the more opportunities we can make for ourselves to do that, and for our kids, I think it's super important.
I have kind of a personal question. Politics is dominated by lawyers, obviously. You're not a lawyer. You've got this industrial design background I read about. How is it that you developed this passion for what you're doing?
So,
where'd it come from?
I graduated from the University of Notre Dame, and what I loved about our industrial design program was that it was about service and giving back. And we used the processes of design thinking, to help improve people's lives. So one of my group projects was we designed a portable refugee shelter that would flat pack and fit on a ship that you could send to war-torn areas, that you could create pop-up schools
Oh,
and bring kids back to a sense of normalcy. Um, that drive has always been there for me. And as I looked at politics in my own community, to your point, it feels like there are way too many people in office who put their name on a bill. They think their idea is the best idea and they fight for that idea. And that's it. And there isn't, the way that I work is you come up with 1,000 ideas and then you focus group them and then you test them and then you get input and you put something out and hopefully it works and hopefully it doesn't. I mean, I came from originally the auto industry, so concept cars is exactly that process. If you put out this kind of wild and crazy idea and you get feedback from people at the auto show and that goes into your final design, which may be, years down the line, but it's iterative and you bring people into the process in a way that I think has made me a much better legislator, where I'm not blinders on thinking my idea is the best idea, but the idea is out there and we have to go find it. Um, and we also have to be willing to accept, if there's a law that has been passed or a program that's out there and it's not doing what it set out to do, we also have to be willing to let it go and come up with something new, so that we don't get to a place where, going back to the original conversation about loan forgiveness programs that get taken away, um, consistency matters, but also if you're spending a bunch of money on a program and it's not doing what it says it's going to do, you got to be willing to try something else because people depend on solutions. And I think in government, if we can get more solution oriented and not process oriented, we're going to be much more successful.
Well, we agree with you. I think we'll focus on solutions and look for you to bring some great solutions to the Senate floor.
Oh,
We
yeah,
hope.
absolutely.
And we're so grateful that a wonderful, strong Michigander is going to be out there running and hopefully clinching that seat.
It's going to be fun. 18 months of meeting 10 million people all across the state. So I'm excited. I have had so much fun already just in our first month. And if anybody wants to learn more, we're at McMorrowfromMichigan.com.
Yay.
Would love to know more and love to see you in Washington. Last time I was there was for the Obama inauguration. I was dancing with Jennifer
Oh,
Granholm, the governor. So
oh,
it was
very
a
different
grand
time. Hopefully
time of
we can
hope.
get back to
Well,
some
Let's get
hopeful
back.
vibes. Yeah.
yeah. And we hope we'll see you out there on the trail, and anything we can do to help out here in Lansing, you let us know. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thanks so much.
Thank you both.
And good luck.
Thanks.
Take care.